podcast in New Jersey. We got a good one for y'all today, but before we even get into that, fellas, how are y'all doing?
I'm doing good. MLB playoffs started. Let's get it.
I'm good, man. I'm doing well. Can't complain. Lindor blessed me one of the greatest sports moments of my life earlier this week. So I'm very pleased overall right now.
So, like Miles just mentioned, MLB playoffs. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the episode. We got the cat trade. We're going to talk about the Atlantic East Division. Talk about them, predictions, wins. We're going to talk about what's going on. Jalen Hurts, Chiefs offense struggling. Trevor Lawrence, week 5 picks, and we're going to touch on the top 5 college quarterbacks right now for Greg. Starting off with none other than the cat trade that just happened. I'm going to play something for y'all real quick.
Were you a Knicks fan or a Nets fan?
Knicks was different because my mom, when she immigrated over from DR, she always went to the Knicks games. And I love my mom. So she told me that was her. And also the Knicks were one of the few teams that gave my dad a chance in the NBA as well. You know what I respected so much about Tibbs is that he wanted to win.
Yeah.
And he put the hours in and he put the work in. So playing for Tibbs was just watching someone who truly loves what they do and puts all their passion and their life mission as being the best coach they could be.
Now that was Cat over on Club Shay Shay, which shout out to Club Shay Shay, one of the best podcasts out. They recorded this before the trade happened, held on to it, dropped it now, which was perfect timing. That was Cat talking about how he always was a fan of the Knicks growing up, and he talked about his relationship with Tibbs. Now, Cat, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. Does the Cat trade make them the favorites in the East?
Miles gonna let me answer. It puts them up there, man. I mean, they got the best starting 5 in the East, in my opinion, and I think they got to go prove it. So if you want to keep the Celtics ahead of them, that's fine. But I love the versatility of this lineup. I love the addition by subtraction, in my opinion, by losing Julius. And I love being vindicated. If there's one thing you know about me, I love being right. So Shams comes out earlier this week and says that they were looking to trade Julius basically all of last year before the trade deadline. They had been in talks with the Timberwolves for Cat and had Julius in that trade offer repeatedly up until they finally got the deal done by adding Donte DiVincenzo. So I just knew watching that team. I think anyone who really understands the game at a high level understood that this guy stopping the ball and the way that team is structured just doesn't make sense with a ball dominant guard like Jalen Brunson. He want him to kind of run the offense and beat ahead of the snake and spray the ball out to the shooters and distribute the basketball to the 3-and-D guys and hit the cutters like Josh Hart. And, I think it's kind of constructed to be that way. So Julius Randle was always an odd fit, especially if you're trying to play that kind of basketball in the playoffs and win in the playoffs. I just never really saw how it made sense to have that guy on your team who was going to stop the ball on the offense, and it just didn't make sense. So no, it was great to see that they made that move. And it makes a lot of sense for them in so many ways. And I love the defensive versatility. They can throw Mikal at people. They can throw OG at people. They can throw Josh Hart at people. They have defenders. And they have Deuce McBride off the bench who can play some defense as well. So they got a lot of different ways they can annoy ball-dominant guards on the other side or wings as well. So I really do think they're the best team in the East. I think this trade puts them there. They got to go out there and play with some chemistry. But I do. I really believe that. I truly believe they're the best team in the East. And I think they have a great chance to get to the NBA Finals, and they got to get it done soon here. It's sustainable. They can do something. They can have this core intact for the next 4 years because they manipulated the CBA. Shout out to the Knicks front office. They deserve a lot of credit. Never thought I'd be saying this, but this is they are ahead of the curve. They're ahead of the curve. They figured out this apron thing, and they were able to put together their own version of a super team. And I think it is legitimately that as well. So I love the fit. They can play 5 out. They can a lot of different ways they can play. They can throw it down into the post to Cat as well. Their depth lineup going small. They have that too as well. And so I just really like the team. I like their depth, even without DiVincenzo. It's a move. DiVincenzo has stopped me from making this trade. So I've got the Knicks, as the best team in the East on paper right now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love the trade. honestly. When you look at it, it adds a different wrinkle to this team now. Now, like you said, you can go 5 out. Now your center is – you have to worry about him on offense. Like before, Mitchell Robinson, not really a threat, just a rebounder. He's really good at his role. But to maximize the guys on this team and the offense, like Brunson doesn't need a guy who's just standing in the paint, clogging the paint when he's one of the best post-up guards in the league right now. So having Cat out there for the pick and pop, that's an option. And over time in the playoffs, you got to see like this team can be special without Randall because we were able to do it. I mean, OG was playing the 4, even with Dante doing his thing, but like still, you saw like this team, the ball's not sticking. OG's not a guy who's looking to dribble the air out the ball for 80% of the shot clock. He's looking to shoot. If it's not open, keep the ball moving. Like that's why I like this team as is now. Like this, you're not getting any people who are selfish. And who knows? Randall, he's on a 1-year deal right now. Who knows? He might have been a little more selfish trying to play for that next deal next year. So that Minnesota can worry about that this year. Who knows if they re-sign him? They don't have to. No pressure. But like having Cat now, I mean, it's a long time coming. He's one of the most skilled big men in the NBA, and seeing where the East has gone so far, the Celtics saw that, swapping out Robert Williams for Porzingis. I mean, now that opens things up for their other guys, their perimeter guys, to operate within the paint and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think this definitely puts us up there. I don't want to put us ahead of the Celtics just yet, just because they do have the crown right now, and we have to prove it. Like, there's a lot of chemistry that's going to have to be built as we go early on in the season. But it's a good start. And like you said, we've got a solid 4 years now with this core. These guys are still young. Nobody's really older than 27, 28 right now. So good. And then health is always going to be something that you got to worry about, especially with OG. But as long as these guys stay healthy, I mean, the sky's the limit with this team.
Hey, so you mentioned it. Celtics favorite right now probably to be repeat champions. We're going to talk about it because the Atlantic Division, low-key, might be one of the toughest divisions. You have the Knicks, Celtics, 76ers, all within the same division. All are considered contenders. We're going to look at this Atlantic Division, starting off the 76ers. I'll ask y'all to over-under on wins, but we're going to start off with a question for this team. Is this their best chance to get it done since having that Jimmy Butler squad?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about him before. Having PG on that team and having Embiid, if he's really lost 25 pounds like they say he has, and he's on Weight Watchers now, then I think that they have a really good chance to go out there and compete. And look, Paul George has never played with a player like Embiid, never played with a guy who is that dominant, who commands that attention from a defense, that much attention. And so he's going to get a lot of open shots. And that guy's too good of a player to be getting open shots. So he's in line to have a career year. And I think very highly of Tyrese Maxey. I mean, if the Knicks didn't make this trade, I didn't think the Knicks would be better than them. I didn't think the Knicks were going to beat them in a 7-game series. I mean it. This trade was necessary. And I think it wasn't, and they were always looking to do it. So it wasn't in direct response to the Sixers. But obviously we know now they were always trying to get rid of Julius Randle. I told you so, Knicks fans. But I just feel like, with this team and with the Sixers makeup, they got a lot of good pieces, getting Caleb Martin for free, for a pack of Nike socks. They went out and got him. And so now we're in a situation where this team is deep too, and they're a contender. And if the ball bounces the right way, they can win. They could get to the conference finals. They're that talented. But I just, and I don't want to compare to the Knicks. That wasn't the question. The question was something along the lines of what's their over-under? Are they good enough? Are they a good team? Are they improved? Yes, they are. They're improved. I think if I had to rank them, in that division alone, they're the third best team. But they could, on a good day, they can get the Celtics up out here because Jason Tatum, and he's a weird dude. I mean, we know he don't show up every night, so he's a weird guy. So Yeah, that's just the best way to put him. He's Jekyll and Hyde. So they can still get them out of here.
Over and under for the 76ers on the wins. The 76ers are at 52.5 wins. Over or under?
I say over. I think they're going to be good enough, but all this depends on health, like most teams, but even more so this team. Like Paul George has dealt with a lot of injuries over the last 4 or 5 years. Embiid, I mean, his track record is well known at this point. So if those guys can stay healthy, then sure, over 52 wins shouldn't be a problem. But let's say Embiid gets hurt. Now it's on. No, I'll still say, because they did sign Andre Drummond. So they do have a solid backup for them if that injury does happen. So I'll say they'll be consistent and win over 52.
Hey, I want to say, too, that Andre Drummond signing, really underrated. And he came out and said he the best rebounder ever in NBA history. I don't know if I go that far, but the Drummond disrespect, y'all got to stop, because Drummond definitely is a top 5, top 10 rebounder. If you go check the stats, Andre Drummond rebound that rock. So give him some credit and some love on that front.
He's just Angel Reese with a handle. That's it.
Oh my God. Angel Reese without a BBL, huh?
Celtics. Will they be the first team to win back-to-back since the 2017-2018 Warriors did it?
No. I do think they got away with a beaten down Eastern Conference, so they didn't really have to get tested that much in the playoffs last year. And yeah, like I said, like teams got better. Teams got better all around them. Like Philly added Paul George, they added all those pieces on the bench. Knicks added Cat, and you're getting Brunson, who, I mean, he played like he was a top 5 player for most of last year. So the Celtics, they got lucky. Celtics fans don't want to hear that because they won the chip. All power to you. But at the end of the day, like that team, Jason Tatum doesn't really show up in the biggest moments. Jalen Brown had to carry them over the top. So to count on Jason Tatum to, finally step up to the crown that he's been given for some years in Boston for some reason, I don't know. I mean, he might not even be the best player on their team at this point. So what was the question? I got off topic. I got off topic.
Will they repeat?
Can they repeat?
Can they repeat? I'm going to say no.
Or will they?
No.
Yeah, no. No, I don't think so either. But and I think Miles really stole my thunder there, because that's what I was screaming from the mountaintops last year, that this team wasn't tested. I think if the Knicks didn't go through the injuries they went through and they got past the Pacers, they would have really challenged them, and it would have been a coin flip series with that roster, by the way, as well. And Jason wasn't playing well, and so that's the wild card for them. He's their X factor. And when you're supposed to be a great player, by the way, a superstar player, you shouldn't be the X factor for your team. You shouldn't be the guy I'm like, well, if he plays well today, then you're going to win. But he also could play like garbage, and then they're just going to struggle. That shouldn't be the case for a guy of that caliber. So this is why I refer to him as weird, because he is a weird dude. He's as talented as anyone could ever be, right? Has all the talent in the world, but just seems to disappear in big moments, and just doesn't seem his performance just fluctuates way too much for me to be able to rely on him or bet on him or say, oh, yeah, you're going to get it done. Nah. So they're a good team. They have the talent to do it, but I just don't think they have the mental makeup to get it done. Could be wrong. This could age very badly, but I just don't believe that they're going to get it done. Repeat, especially with the East getting as much as better as they did all around, with the Sixers and the Knicks making the improvements they made. If those guys stay healthy, man, any one of those teams can beat you. And God forbid, the Bucks, figure something out and they figure out how to play a little bit of defense. If they could figure out how to stay in front of people a little bit, just a little bit, they could be annoying for you in a second round series as well. So I think a year with Doc, we'll see how they acclimate themselves. But I think there's a lot of challenges for that team to get back to the mountaintop, and I just don't see them getting there.
Hey, you mentioned the Bucks. We're gonna get to that division. The Bucks, long as they ain't playing Glorilla in the arena, they should be all right.
Glorilla is the best female rapper I don't ever heard, bro. I heard a little snippet. She hard. I'm just saying she's good. I don't know what it is, but something about her music just resonates with me. So I love me some Glorilla, man.
I heard a little snippet. You ain't been listening to it. Friday, 7 p.m. Friday.
Not that. Not that. There was another one, but that was hard. I don't think it came out yet, but I liked it.
Oh, Miles, he capping though, because when we was moving, that song came on.
He's lying.
His phone rang. It was like, that's my with me. I was like, oh. So Ariana done took over his phone. Celtics 58.5 wins. Over under on the wins. 58.5.
I'm gonna say under.
So Celtics over under? Is that what I just heard?
That's a lot. I'm gonna say under. Anything can happen. What is it? They still got Al Horford, right? They got Porzingis still. As long as those guys stay healthy, sure. Like 60 wins plus is within reach. But I'm gonna say they just fall back a little bit. Not out of like complacency or anything. Just it's tough to be able to do that back-to-back years. They might scale back their intensity to try to save up some energy for the playoffs and all that stuff. So they might win like what, 56 games, 55, something like that. But this is a really good team still.
Yeah, my concern with them is you mentioned the centers. Is Al Horford, he's up there in age. Porzingis is already injured, and I believe is Cornette is one of the backups in rotation. That probably is going to be their weak spot, but I'm sure Brad Stevens, they're going to have something up their sleeve. They'll sign somebody. They'll get somebody off of waivers at the trade deadline, something like that. That's only my concern really with the Celtics is their depth when you're talking about the center position right there. Next squad we got up here within that division. This squad, not in that conversation for championship or anything like that or close to it. The Brooklyn Nets, are they just looking forward to April at this point?
I'm ready for the Ben Simmons revival tour. I mean, what else do you have to look forward to in the Barclays Center besides like J. Cole concerts and all that stuff? Because, I mean, if we're looking at it, the Nets, this is a development year. Like, you're not playing for anything besides losing. That's it. You're trying to play to lose so you can get in the running for Cooper Flag. I think that's the elephant in the room. That's it. That's the only thing that you're trying to do.
There are three people you're playing for if you're the Nets, by the way.
Well, okay.
It's not a one man. I don't think Cooper is a slam dunk. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's a slam dunk. Cooper is going number one. As much as I love Cooper, I don't think it's a slam dunk because Ace is.
We do have to talk about that. But finish, Miles, because I'd love to hear who was a part of that three that you're saying.
There's three guys.
I think it's Cooper, it's Dylan Harper, and then it's Ace from Rutgers. So the rack is going to be jumping this year. They're going to look really nice in the NIT. But those two players, they're going to make a lot of people want to come to New Jersey to watch them play because it's special. We haven't had talent like this in New Jersey in a long time. Maybe not since the Nets left. So I'm really excited to see what they do. I think Dylan Harper is a special talent, one of those score first point guards, and then Ace. I don't have any jokes for Ace, but I think he could honestly be picked ahead of Cooper just off of the athletic build, and I think he's raw, but there's a lot of things there that you can work with, and who knows? It's a long season. I wish they had Duke and Rutgers playing this year, but I don't know if they read into that.
Why not Kentucky versus Rutgers? Even you don't want to see your team on TV.
We talking about the top three players. What? I'm not talking about that. You trying to be messy. All right.
So, you about to say something?
No, I was going to say I agree. Rutgers obviously thinks that they're going to win every single game and go to the Final Four because I got credentials to go work the Rutgers women's game, but the Rutgers men said no. So obviously they think they're going to be they're too above for a freelancer podcaster. So we'll see if it actually turns to be out that way. Over under for the wins, and you'll go after this. You say your piece. I just want to throw it out there. They have it that y'all gonna win 19 and a half games.
That's pretty low. I mean, that's pretty low. They have no. Okay, they're idiots. Unless they trade Dorian and Cam Johnson, I don't see how that's possible. I'll be honest, because they have too many guys that are winning players in the league. Like those two guys can help you win some games. They can get hot a couple nights. They're gonna win like 25 games. All right, they're gonna win like 25 games. And by the way, losing as many games as possible, as great as it sounds in theory, the NBA got rid of the whole. It's not the NFL, template. It's not like that. So it doesn't really help you. You just get a couple more ping pong balls, but rarely does a team with the most ping pong balls ever get the number one pick. Detroit Pistons is your example for the last X amount of years being as bad as they've been. They never get the number one pick. They get number 5 or 8. You know what I mean? So you really can't look at it that way. You really can't. I mean, you hope to get a high draft pick. There's a lot of good players in this draft as well. And I don't know if you wanted me to get into this, here, but there's a lot of good players in this draft as well. So, it's not a one guy draft where it's like the unicorn is Cooper and there's no one else. I think that unicorn is Aces is a unicorn. And I think Dylan is a very, 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 very good prospect. I don't know that I call him a unicorn. We've seen his build before, but I'm really high on Dylan as a scorer and a feel for the game guy who can make passes as well and play at a high level. So I like Dylan a lot. So I think the two Rutgers guys in Coop, and then also my man over in Baylor, BJ Edgecombe. Who's going to be special as well. I really believe that his athletic ability is one thing, but these guys are more skilled than they have been in the past, which is why when Miles said Ace is a little raw, there's some truth to that, but Ace is a little more skilled than people give him credit for too. I think he's going to show you some stuff this year. He's going to have a real breeze playing college basketball. I just kind of see him walking into 20 points pretty quick. He's that talented of a guy in transition, in half-court games, and getting post touches. There's so many ways as a slasher playing off of Dylan. There's just so many ways they can hurt you and have them both. They're going to be tough to guard. That team's as a tournament team for sure. I think they're going to be, one of those just for bubble teams that get in. I think they're going to get in though. Good year for Rutgers, especially with the football team. Which, by the way, I told y'all, man, 4-0, about to be 5-0, beating little Mahomes Jr. By the way. But the Nets are, this is a development year for them. Let's see if they can trade Cam and get value for him and trade Dorian to get value for him. But 25 wins, I think, is very fair. And I think what you have to watch for if you're a Nets fan, development of Cam Thomas, right? Is he a more efficient scorer under this situation? Can he be that? And also the development of Nick Claxton and where his game goes. I'm not interested in Ben Simmons and the robot. What are we talking about? He won't be here past this year. But, just get through this year, Nets fans. You'll be all right. Find something else to watch.
On the other side, we just want, because we already talked about the Knicks, we're going to do the over-under for the wins for y'all. Over-under for wins for the Knicks is 53.5.
I'm going to say over.
Yeah, I'm going to say over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over. I think, what did we win last year? 50? And that was with the amount of injuries that we dealt with last year. So I think adding Cat, that adds a new wrinkle in this offense for Tibbs to play with. And shoot, I'm shooting for 60 wins. I want to see us get there and just dominate the regular season.
Last one, a part of the Atlantic Division, the Toronto Raptors. Will BBQ be a good enough core to build around? BBQ, for those that do not know, that's Barnes, Barrett, and Quickly. BBQ.
No. I can't believe. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't even and I don't think I'm not really trying to slander RJ or whatever. It's not really about that. I like Quickly. But they really are in a true rebuild. And they're one of those teams like sneakily could get a number one pick if they won like 30 games, like 25 games. Like they could be in that range and get the number one overall pick, and it could change everything in an instant. You know, you take them seriously if they get Cooper Flag or Ace or one of these guys. So they're just in the running. You know, I think it makes it less fun that you know, I see a lot of people would disagree with me, but I think it makes it less fun. The worst team, the unmitigated worst team in the NBA, never isn't a lock to get the number one pick. I don't love it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I know it's supposed to be fun with the lottery and it's supposed to be suspense filled, but it's painful for these guys who are bad. It's painful, and you better hope your scouting department gets it right, and they know what they're doing, and they find high value players, no matter where they're picking in the lottery, because you should, but. That's a tough pill to swallow, man. To go through all that losing and to not get a blue chip guy, to end up with Zachary Richarche or whatever, or Alex Sarr. That's, I mean, for real. Like, just don't watch basketball. I don't know. Watch someone else. You root for another team. You know, for the summer. Like, it's hard, man. Bad basketball would be the toughest sport to watch. When it's bad basketball, yeah, I don't know.
Miles, so they at 30.5 wins over under.
I'm gonna say over.
Yeah, I think over too.
Yeah, I think they're still gonna be solid enough. Scotty Barnes definitely took a bit of a leap last year. Showed he can shoot a little bit. He's like just a younger Pascal, maybe a little more skilled and athletic than Pascal is, but I mean they're very similar in some ways. And then RJ having a lot more room to maneuver. And then you've got Grady out there too. In year two, I think he'll add a little more shooting out there for them. And then Quick, I mean, this is what Quick wanted. He always wanted to start somewhere. And the minutes that he was given in Toronto, like he's been balling. So I do think, who is it? Podol is right. This is really a development year for them. Like they're not competing for a championship. Kudos for him being real, although I'm sure Toronto would be like, yo, what are you saying? What are you doing? Like, why would you mention that in a presser? Like, we didn't even start the games yet. But it's the truth. Like, you got to develop some of these guys and see who we can take these guys along for the ride. Like, is RJ a piece that we can keep? Can he develop into maybe like a good number two on this team? Is Quickly going to be a top 15 point guard in this league? Can Barnes be a perennial all-star? Like, these are all questions that you still have with this Toronto team. And, I mean, some of them can get answered this year. All they can ask for is to compete. That's it. I mean, that's how, like you said, nobody's really getting any benefits off of just losing games. Like Pistons, their lottery, they're stuck at number 5. They're not getting any higher than that. So, to lose on purpose at this point, you get no benefit from that.
I break the news real quick. I break the news. Teams involved in the Davante Adams sweepstake have become convinced as Raiders stars focus on engineering a trade to the Jets.
Oh yeah,
just saying. Albert Breer. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. Tone, you probably saw that. You blocked in, so I don't know.
Hey. I'm big-eyed over here because we are back on, as the people would say, back on our BS. That's the next topic that I have was Davante Adams.
I couldn't do another basketball team in obscurity. Jeez, thank God. No, for real, bro. I'm like, we talking about the Raptors.
It's the Atlantic Division. We breaking down each division for our listeners. There's somebody out there that's a Raptors fan. I actually know a couple that listen to the pod.
What the hell?
Dang. I know her Instagram name. There's somebody that lives in Toronto that actually be locked in with our pod.
I'm sorry. No disrespect. No disrespect, man.
So we was going to find out possible trade scenarios for Davante Adams, but it seems like Davante is going to the Jets. He's probably gonna get his way. What does that mean for the Jets, though? A Davante Adams team with Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Brees Hall. They're 2-2 right now, if I believe correct. Right? They 2-2.
Yes.
2-2, yeah.
Yeah.
An ugly
What-
2-2.
what's
If I
the
do
ceiling?
say myself.
What's the ceiling with Davante being added to this roster?
I still think with or without them or him, they're a playoff team. Like I think they'll figure this out and right the ship. Like Sunday was tough. I was there. There was a lot of rain, and it was very difficult. And then battling some injuries on the line too didn't help. Olu, the rookie that we drafted, he needs to develop a little bit. He's not ready to, jump out there, and he's playing out of position at right tackle. So, but if we add Davante, that just adds another wrinkle in our offense. You already know that him and Aaron have they got the chemistry, and him and Garrett have been trying to work through it. And then maybe for now, Garrett's seeing a lot of tough coverage. Maybe this opens things up for him, and he's able to really work, and he's not the focal point of defenses assignments out there. Like Surtain was a tough matchup last week. He's getting all the best guys right now. So Davante's he's a certified number one. I mean, any team would do this trade if it was presented to them. And I do think Rodgers, he's still working his way back. They're still figuring out the different kinks in this offense. But adding Davante, I mean, that could be special. I mean, we already know Davante's a really, really good football player. And on a team like this, where he's already got Aaron Rodgers and other guys like Brees Hall, this will open things up for Brees Hall too, because right now things are a little muddied. It'd be nice if this could happen before this Minnesota game, but I mean, it's not. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Hey, with or without Davante Adams, they're not winning a Super Bowl, and that's the goal of the team, right? They're not winning a Super Bowl, and that's the goal. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think they make it to the conference championship either, with or without him. And my logic is very simple. It's easy. I don't think their problem is necessarily their offense and getting that going. They're getting their pass game going. That'll happen even with Garrett Wilson just being there and Alan Lazard and Mike Williams. That'll happen. They'll be able to score points. They get dominated in the trenches. That's their problem. I just seen it happen twice now. The Broncos didn't dominate them in the trenches, but they were able to run the ball with success, even though the Jets knew the Broncos were going to run the ball. They finished over 100 rushing yards in a day, right? It's tough to win that way, man. And then San Fran ran all over you. What do you think the Bills are going to do? The Bills are going to get in I formation and run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and play action, and they're going to run the way to a win. They're going to run all the way to a win. That's like, it's hard to win football games when you're not dominant in the trenches. I didn't see this coming for the Jets. I thought they'd be good enough in the trenches to win a championship potentially, and that their defense would be their calling card. But they aren't. Not only are they not able to stop the run, they aren't running the ball either. They're not having success running the ball and getting Brees the football either. So I'm skeptical. And then it wouldn't be the Jets if we didn't have a story outside of the football piece, which is the fact that Aaron Rodgers hates Saleh. He hates that guy. He can't stand him. Okay, Saleh's a dead man walking. He doesn't respect him as a coach. He has no respect for anything he says. That he's mad about them getting, being offsides on the cadence, and they can't figure out his cadence as he tries to get those free plays. And Saleh's talking about, well, maybe we have to dial back the cadence. Like, what are you even talking? And then you see why they've been losing, because Aaron Rodgers has a standard, and this team has not ever had to live up to that kind of standard before. So there's an adjustment for a team like this, and hopefully they can adjust within the next year to him, and the next year they can take off and make the adjustment they need to make to be a real championship level team. But right now, I just don't see it for them. Davante lifts their ceiling, and they can make a run. I mean, certainly they have two have chemistry, but they didn't even keep Rodgers clean last week, and he's 45. So this is hard. Like, what are we really even talking about? They play the Vikings this week, bro. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't think this season's going to be as promising as what we all thought. They'll get in. They'll get into the playoffs. They're too talented not to. I mean, it'd be a failure of epic proportions if they didn't. But I think everyone's liable to get fired. Joe Douglas, who's had 9 lives. Joe Douglas is a bigger cat than Chris. He's had 9 lives. And I think he can get fired after this season, which is crazy. So we'll see, man. It's a tricky situation over there, but it is just year 1 of Rodgers playing. Hopefully, if he doesn't retire suddenly to go run for vice president or, go be a part of Trump's Secret Service if Trump wins, then we should get a chance to hopefully, see them reach their ceiling. But I just don't think it's going to be this year. It's early, but I don't like what I've seen. That's all I'm saying. And that loss on Sunday was just that's a Giants loss. With 8 times as much talent, that's a Giants loss, right? So how do you feel good about it? I don't know how you feel good. Maybe if they get Davante, it'll inject some life into the fan base and into the team. But can you get Brees the ball and let him? And can he get some carries? And can he actually get a couple 4 or 5 yards of carry in a game? This is a joke. It's a joke. So we'll have to wait and see, man. But everyone's liable to get fired right now.
I personally would love for y'all to let Brees Hall get busy because I have him on 2 of my fantasy teams, and he has been hurting me big time. I've had to pick up the backup, Allen. He's been giving me more points some weeks. So
pretty good.
Give Brees the rock. I personally would appreciate it. But in the words of Marvin Pence Gay Jr., he said, "What's going on?" So we going to touch on a couple of things in the NFL right now and figure what's going on. It's not making sense, some of these things. So I'm going to ask my fellas, talk to me about these things right here. So Jalen Hurts has started off the year so far 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles. The turnovers seem to be an issue again. Is the slow start for the offense as a whole for Jalen Hurts, is this more so on Jalen Hurts, or is it the injuries that they've been dealing with on offense?
I know what Greg is going to say.
What else is there to say? You paid him $255 million. You're hanging on to 1 good year he's had, 2022, the Super Bowl run. Outside of that, he's been mid his entire career.
It's been a short career. It's been like three years.
Fair. But to be fair, he was a running back in college and then became a quarterback when he got to the NFL. So that's tough.
Your rhetoric, your propaganda. Here you go with this propaganda.
Me personally with Jalen Hurts, I think he's paid too much money to get bailed out by the fact that Davante's not there or AJ Brown's not there. I just don't. I'm sorry. I can't wrap my head around that. Not when you're paid that kind of money. Not when you had the run they saw you had. I always said, like, Jalen Hurts made me nervous because they had a great cast around him. It was like an all-star cast, all Pro Bowl cast all around him. Everybody was a Pro Bowler, and he just played well and played. He helped them get to the Super Bowl for sure and played well in the Super Bowl. But like with everything that was being perfect, I'm like, if it's not perfect though, right? Then what's it going to look like? And I think we're seeing it. And we look. I don't want to hear the injury excuse because when these guys were here, this has been a trend since last year. Since even with Davante on the field, even with AJ on the field, Jalen Hurts has the most turnovers for any quarterback in that span since last season. Real stat, right? He's been awful turning the ball over. So the idea that it's because he doesn't have his receivers there, I can't buy that. I can't get behind that. I just can't. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't jive with me. So look. I don't know what they're gonna do in terms of obviously you have to ride, continue to hope that you can turn this around with Jalen as well. But the only solution for me that I see is firing Sirianni, getting people in there who know how to speak quarterback and get him fixed because that's your option. You just paid him. You're not aborting. I mean, Howie Roseman is a ballsy guy. He could do that, but they're not going to be picking very high. It's just not going to happen. You are going to be in a position where you have to run it back with Jalen, and that's fine. We're not at abort Jalen territory yet, but To be honest, I was never much of a believer. I've always said that. I always was skeptical, and I thought this could happen. And I understand the injuries, but the turnovers, there's no excuse for that. And getting outplayed by Baker Mayfield, who makes maybe $100 million less than you, it's bad luck. Bad luck. Sorry. And Baker's great. And Baker probably better than him, to be honest. But I just don't. I'm not here for it. I'm sorry.
Yo, his team is fully healthy. Lane Johnson was out with a concussion. AJ Brown, hamstring. Davante out with a concussion. A brand new center he was having snapping issues in the first game. So it's like all this turnover in personnel. Like his number one last week was Jahan Dotson. That guy, he's gonna be out on the streets in Philly in a year or so. So it's not like he had a lot to work with. So saying that Baker outplayed him, like Baker had Mike Evans and all the boys playing with him. So I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but when you look at it, like it hasn't been easy this first couple weeks. Like he got out a win against the Saints. That was a good win for what it's worth. I mean, Davante got knocked out, almost killed on the field. AJ Brown was out of that game, but yet they pulled out the win. Last week, it was all going to be an uphill battle against the Buccaneers. Like, we got to relax. It's week 5. They got to bye. They get to heal up a little bit. It's week 5. They're going to heal up. This Miles, is a new offense. They're still working through a new offense with Kellen Moore, what's
that team's aspirations? What's the goal for the Eagles?
What's every team goal except for some.
Don't even do that. You're gonna get me mad. You're gonna get me mad. What is the Eagles' aspiration? I'm about to curse.
They're shooting hot.
They want a Super Bowl. They want to win a Super Bowl. That's their goal. If the goal is to win a Super Bowl,
that's what Brian Daboll's goal is too.
No, it's not. Don't even do that. If that's their goal, they're gonna fall on their face. Period. It ain't happening. All right. It's not gonna be some mid-season flip of the switch. The habits are there, man. It's too much of this on tape with Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry. Even with the guys being there, he's not playing well. He has not been playing well for a long time. And I get that Sirianni is a insert whatever choice word you want to insert. I understand that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't excuse the turnover-worthy plays. He has 11 turnover-worthy plays to start the season. That's a real stat. PFF, real stat. No one, I think the next guy's like 7. 11 for him. Dude, he might be broken. I think Jalen Hurts is broken. Okay? And the way that Trevor Lawrence is broken, because Trevor Lawrence is broken, I think he's broken too. So I'm just gonna jump out on Front Street and say that he can be fixed. Because look, he was broke as hell back in college. I mean, he was broken. He wasn't even a quarterback. So he's come a long way. This is major for him to be able to drop back those spirals consistently. This is a big deal. But we need now, when you've proven you can do that at a high level, sure, you had a nice stretch in 2022. Can we get you back to that? Let's hire the right guy to get that done. If you're the Eagles, that's the goal.
I see what you're trying to do. Before we segue to Trevor Lawrence talk, Jalen Hurts, I know he can get it done, and I think eventually everything will.
What is with you and Jalen Hurts? Why do you love that guy so much?
I think he's a really good quarterback. I think
he's a Jalen Hurts so much. What is with you and I've always wanted to know.
You'd be happy if he was the Giants quarterback.
Would I?
You would. I've been watching Daniel Jones for the last.
I have a higher standard than that. I have a high standard for what the Giants quarterback should look like. Daniel Jones is obviously not the answer. He's about as bad as it gets.
What do you mean?
But I have a high standard.
What do you mean look like?
I'll take Jalen Milroe right now. Don't even do that.
Wow. Let a Nate say it no, huh?
I'll take that guy right now.
Hey, yo. Oh, my goodness. Before we even get to Trevor Lawrence, we got to ask about the reigning champs, the Chiefs. They're 4-0. And if you haven't been watching the games, you'll be like, why are they on this list of what's going on? They're 4-0, but they have an average margin of victory of only 5 points. The offense hasn't looked good. The defense hasn't looked good. What's a bigger concern for the Kansas City Chiefs, their offense or their defense? Because last year, the offense was a little shaky, but that defense was elite. It's not looking like that so far in these first 4 games for them.
I'd say the offense, just because this team is built around Mahomes and what he can do with the football. This is not some game manager that you're letting the defense carry you to a championship. This is a guy who we're talking about in the breadth of being one of the greatest of all time. So the fact that the offense is struggling and now you lose your best weapon in Rashee Rice for however long, because I don't know if it's going to be out for the season because they're still working through that whole thing. But for now, you're going back to Kelsey as your number one option, and it looks like he's lost a step. Like, I mean, he was off to a terrible start to the year before Rashee Rice got hurt, and I think that catapulted him back to being who Mahomes looks to and trusts the most, because, I mean, it's either him or Sky Moore or Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, you kind of see where I'm going with this. They don't have many options, so they got to be on them phones calling for help, because this offense, they're not that good right now. Like, Mahomes is, and if you look at his track record for the last, I was looking at it because fantasy football and all that stuff, but the last 17 games, he hasn't really put up those numbers that we grew to love early on in his career, which he's not declining, but I think you're starting to feel that loss of Tyreek Hill a little bit. Like, Tyreek Hill was that deep threat. That's why they went out and got Worthy. But, I mean, he's not ready to be a number one option this early in his rookie season. So it's going to be interesting to see how Andy Reid schemes up some more deep shots and who's going to step in to play that slot role. Maybe Juju, maybe Justin Watson. But they got to figure something out, because the offense, like you said, they were in a dog fight with the Chargers last week, who were playing Justin Herbert on half a leg. So,
I mean, there's obviously real concerns with that team, with the Chiefs, but I hate to be this guy, but they are the Chiefs, and I just look with all the some concerns in the world that they have. They're what are they? They're 4-0. They're 4-0, right? They don't lose in September, as Andy Reid's MO. I think they have a trade up their sleeve to get another receiver, and don't be surprised if said receiver they trade for, and it won't be a star, but if that guy, that second, third receiver from whatever team comes over, looks amazing playing in that offense, because that's what Andy Reid does. That's what playing for Mahomes does, because he's accurate. He's gonna throw the ball to you in a place where you can catch it and just run. And he's just that good. So I have a hard time being concerned about that football team. It's kind of the opposite of the Eagles, right? I mean, with Jalen Hurts, it's very easy to be concerned because the writing's just been on the wall, has been right in front of you if you've been paying attention. But with the Chiefs, they built up what I like to call equity. They have sweat equity with the fans and with everybody around. And so if you're in Kansas City right now, you can just chill and sleep easy at night, knowing that when it comes down to it, you got number 15, and you got a healthy O-line, right? So they're going to generate offense, and maybe they can figure out a way to get Travis Kelce involved. If that's still Travis Kelce, I don't know who the hell I saw in week 1 with that weird haircut. I don't know who that was supposed to be. And maybe the whole Taylor Swift thing has just changed him. And that's possible, right? We've seen this stuff. We've seen who athletes get with affect them on the field. It certainly can. And if you don't, refer back to the whole Paul George fiasco when he got old girl, pregnant back in the day. That was the worst game of basketball I've ever seen a guy at that level play up close. But different discussion for a different day. Moral of the story is, I just feel like that team's going to figure it out. I think they're going to make a trade, and I think it'd be foolish to bet against them. There's concerns, but I think their defense has been steady. I think they've been pretty good. I like what I've seen from their defense, to be quite honest, as well. They'll get through this. They'll be in the big dance at the end, and that's just what they do. And I hate to give you some lazy analysis, but that's just how else can I say it? You know what I mean? Like, they've earned it. They've earned the right for us to trust them to weather the storm. And I heard Rashee Rice isn't even going to be out for the rest of the year like they thought he was. Like that, the prognosis is actually pretty good or whatever. You see, things just go their way. Things just go that team's way. So they'll have their chance at that three-peat. They will, and they've earned the benefit of the doubt.
What's going on, Trevor Lawrence? I on this podcast have been questioning Trevor Lawrence for the last year and some change. I have had concerns with Sunshine for a while now, but my fellow co-hosts have been like, no, Tone, don't worry about it. He may not be Sunshine and the greatest prospect ever, but it's still a lot of promise there. Well, they are 0-4 to start off the season. Throw some stats out there. He's 23rd in QBR, 23rd in yards, only has 4 touchdowns, interception, couple fumbles here and there. He does not look good. At this rate, we mentioned it, NBA, you got the worst record, you don't get the number 1 pick. In this case, the Jags have the worst record right now, the only team that have not won a game yet, and I don't know when they are going to win one. If they keep this number 1 overall pick, should they draft one of these incoming quarterbacks or stay with Trevor?
They have to stay with Trevor. Like, it's not like it's they have no choice. They literally the ink is not even dry on his contract yet. They have to like try to figure it out and make it work, because once upon a time, everybody was talking about he's this generational talent. So maybe Doug is not the guy to help him get over the hump and rediscover his generational talent. But I think he can be serviceable to the point where, like, if you get some solid pieces around him, Travis Hunter's out there, just keep on losing. You got him. You got a guy on both sides. He can help you on defense and offense. To put him next to Brian Thomas Jr. and you still got ETN, they got to get O-line help. It's not looking too good in Jacksonville, though, because he hasn't gotten off to a great start. He's had enough games in a row of not playing well to question whether he should be the QB of the future. But they went out on a limb and paid him a boatload of money in the offseason. So they're in a real predicament. It's not like you can just rip it up and say, whoops, that was crazy. Like, we can't do that. But I don't know. I want to see Trevor Lawrence figure it out. I want to see him get back to playing good football, because there are times, I've seen it in the past, where he does look really good. He does look really good. And I know he's battled some injuries. Maybe that's played a part in it. But Doug Peterson, I don't think he's the guy. Maybe they go out and get who's the OC for the Lions. Maybe this is the job that he takes and fixes that quarterback. Because, I mean, if you're looking outside looking in, you see this guy who, he's got a cannon for an arm. He's athletic. You've got pieces on offense. Somebody can figure it out. They can flip the switch quickly if they get the right guy in there. So maybe Brian Daboll, he can fix quarterbacks. He fixed Josh Allen. So
he fixed Daniel Jones too. That was the best he could ever look.
That
2022.
That was a fail. That was not his fault, though. That was not his fault.
That Daniel Jones sucks. He did the best he could.
Yeah.
So, look, they can't replace him. I think monetarily, you'd have to have a pretty gutsy GM and have a strong conviction on one of these quarterbacks to be able to go out there and draft one on top of him after you gave him all that money and you locked him in. I think it's far more likely that if they're picking that high, everyone's going to get fired anyways, right? So you're probably presumably bringing somebody in who didn't pick Trevor Lawrence anyways. So I guess there's always a possibility you taking quarterback. But if you are a GM who's looking for a quarterback, and I'm not poo-pooing on this class, nothing like that, but I'm just being honest, like, then why not wait to 2026 with Arch and all them dudes who you think are generational anyways? What's one more year of not being good, especially if you're the Jaguars, you're never good. No one ever expects anything from you, right? I'm just being honest, at that point. So I think it's just unlikely to take a quarterback, because you're not, whoever you replace him with in this class is you may not think it could be better than Trevor Lawrence, or is not more talented than Trevor Lawrence. Do I agree with that idea, that notion? No, but I think the general consensus about this class is that it's not a top heavy or as talented of a class. Me personally, I think if Bo Nix went in the top 10 of a class, and he sucks horse ass, then why can't Cam Ward go top 10? Why can't Shedeur Sanders go top 10? Bo Nix went top 10. Don't make no sense to me, right? Or whatever he went, 12, whatever he went. It wasn't top 10, but he went lottery, whatever. So that's just my logic on that. But yeah, I don't think they replace the game. I think that you have to get them fixed, similar to, to Jalen Hurts, take them both to AutoZone, do a little work on the suspensions and all that, and hopefully you get them back out there and they can go play some good football moving forward for you. And I'll tell you what, I like Trevor Lawrence's chances of getting fixed a lot better than Jalen Hurts. I'll say that right now. I think a new coach is probably in order. Doug seems to have locked the locker room. Anytime you got to come out as a coach and say, I have not lost my locker room. Anytime as a coach you come out and say, hey, man, listen, I can't go play. Doug, if you played, they'd still be ass. What are you talking about? So anytime you go out there and you say that, you've lost your team. It's over. It's cooked. He may not make it to the end of the season, all right, realistically. So, and Ben Johnson's out there. I think Ben Johnson from Detroit would love to go work with a guy who's talented as Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence can make all the throws. It's there, but mechanically things are off. You can clean that up. You can clean up. I'm not hitting the panic button on Trevor Lawrence just yet, in large part because you already paid him. Same way you paid Jalen. So you're stuck with him.
Now we mentioned this QB class is coming in. Greg, give us your top 5 college QBs up until what is this, week 5 of the college football season now?
Yeah.
Week 5 of the college football season. Who are your top 5?
There's been a shakeup. Jalen Milroe is a lot better than I thought he was, and he's like Jalen Hurts, but he can throw, and he has a jetpack on his back, right? He's a much better athlete. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Milroe. He's there. He's not number one. My number one quarterback is still Cam Ward, even with 2 interceptions, even with the tight close call against Virginia Tech. I think his feel in the pocket, his ability to make guys miss, the calm he plays with, you can't teach that. He has things you can't teach. They're special to Cam Ward's game. And then the creativity, the shovel pass through to the tight end for the touchdown, to basically ice the game. He's a special I think he's a special player. I don't know what the expert thing. I'm getting out in front. I'm saying that guy's special. I just really believe in him. I think he can throw the ball anywhere on the field and rip it to any part of the field. So yes, number 1. Number 2, Shedeur Sanders. I think for me, when I look at Shedeur, I feel like he plays quarterback the way it was meant to be played. If you want to make quarterback great again, if they want to them guys, he's your guy. I really believe that. His confidence is unflappable, but he can make all the throws. So I love me Shedeur Sanders, number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go with Jalen Milroe. Milroe's 3. I think that's a fair place for him. I think he's going to end up being in that the first round conversation after his performance. He's made some real cleanup to his throwing mechanics, and the board runs a really friendly quarterback offense. So he's eating off that right now. He's been great. And Ryan Williams is amazing. So he's in a great situation. I think he's really in a good spot to raise his draft stock. Number 4 for me is going to be Arch Manning, which is crazy because I don't know if he's going to be the starter. I don't know. Quinn Ewers could lose his job, just the injury. But I think just a really natural throw to the football. If we were going to do this draft with him in it, he'd probably go number 1. I mean, he's just that good. I mean, honestly, he really is. There's no throw he can't make. He's athletic, and he's able to throw the ball with anticipation, and he can test any part of the field. I love him. Great player. And then number 5, we're gonna go with Nico. I still can't remember the last name. I think it's he's Hawaiian dude. Let me chill. Nico. He's really good. So I'm going Nico Iamaleava. I think his name is. He's special. So I'm gonna go with him. They get the total package. I didn't do all draft eligible guys. I know that, but I think those are the 5 best quarterbacks in college football right now.
Hey, real quick before we go on to the back end ending our show, what they call it, Miles, the back 9. Before we hit that back 9. On the live, shout out to those that's on the live. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, share, like, comment. He said Trevor Lawrence is the new Tebow, very good, but only in college.
Who said that?
Oh my God!
Who said that?
That's a hell of a take right there. Jesus. I would never go that far. I would never go that. Tebow couldn't even throw a football. If we're being frank, I mean, there's footage out there of him throwing a football, and it's like somebody he fumbled it, but he threw it 20 yards, a 20-yard fumble. So, Trevor Lawrence is definitely.
Come on.
He'll fix it. He'll fix it eventually.
You know what, man? I appreciate you listening to the show. It's very nice that you're here. That's all I'll say.
Maybe he's not referencing the throwing aspect, but just in general, the drop off from college with the height.
But
maybe
that's not true. Even that's not true.
Yeah.
Even that's not true though. See, did they not make it to the playoffs? The Jaguars at least 1 year?
No, they did.
They had that epic collapse to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's fine.
It's still he's a good player, man. Come on, with the quarterback I see in the NFL every weekend. Some of these guys out here, the way Jalen Hurts playing football, you talking about him like that?
Yeah, this is a crazy episode with
He responded. He said Tebow took Denver to the playoffs. He's a quarterback, so that's
Tebow.
He was throwing for 80 yards in a game.
Tebow was terrible. Okay, Tebow. The coolest thing Tebow did was pray on the field before the game or something. Coolest thing he did. Other than that, he was when he threw the ball, it looked like he was throwing up. It looked like it hurt. Come on.
Week 5 picks ended up the show. Week 5 picks. Jets at the Vikings. Who y'all got winning this one?
I do have the Jets losing this one.
Oh, thank God.
Hey, remember at the beginning of the season though, he picked him to beat him in his prediction.
This nigga woke up.
Hey, a lot of people didn't have the Vikings this good, so.
Look, that defense. Good luck. I mean, if anyone can decipher that defense, is Aaron Rodgers, but it's just he's gonna be on his ass, so you can't decipher it. Decipher looking up at the sky. So I got the Vikings taking that one, and in convincing fashion, unfortunately.
Bills at Texans. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs reunion.
That's a good game. That's a good game. I'm
gonna go Texans.
Yeah, I want to take the Bills. Everything in me wants to take the Bills in this game. And I think I'm going to take the Bills because I think they'll get back on track with their running game. I think they'll get Cook involved and they'll get back to their method and routine. But that Texans defense is something. When they're on, that's one of them coin flip games. But I think the Bills bounce back. I'll take the Bills reluctantly.
Last pick that we have, because we give y'all the photo, we give you the image every week. All the picks of every games. Last one though that most would have on their docket of games that they'll probably be watching. It's a historic game. These teams have played each other for years and years and won Super Bowls and Super Bowls. One hasn't done it in our lifetime. One did it recently with a man that got in some type of trouble also. Very
why?
Very Diddy-esque. Cowboys at Steelers. And for those that don't know, look it up, Big Ben. Look it up. It's more than passing with him.
Be Diddy.
It wasn't just AB and Le'Veon Bell that was tweaking on that team.
I think the Steelers win this game. They're coming in frustrated, and their defense is just special. And I think that they're going to be able to run the ball with Najee Harris and Warren, and they're going to have their way at the line of scrimmage as well. I'm not saying it'll be a cakewalk necessarily, but I just think the Cowboys team that what confidence did that game against the Giants give you last week? They didn't handle them. And that their defensive rush, their defensive ends, and the feared pass rush, they ain't touched Daniel Jones but one time, and it was a sack on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones then ran into Micah's arms, which he's good to do once a game or twice a game if it's him. Justin Fields won't do that. So I fully believe that the Steelers will win this football game. They're just a better football team, top to bottom, and I think they have the advantage from the run game to their defense stopping the run and also being able to get to the quarterback. And that offensive line is not that good. I watched Kayvon Thibodeau give their left tackle fits. I think it was Guyton gave him fits. He sucks, by the way. So I just don't really see a way where they keep TJ Watt off of him or Hightower on if he's healthy, I believe he is. Or Highsmith, excuse me, Alex Highsmith. That's his name. I don't see how they keep him off of Dak. So I think they're going to have their way in that game. The Steelers should win. And the thing is in Pittsburgh, of course, as well. So, yeah, good luck. Good luck. Not really.
Micah's not playing, too. Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, you got a lot of injuries on the D-line. So, yeah, Justin Fields is going to have a
field pocket.
He's going to have a field day.
You've been waiting to say that one for a long time. You've been waiting to use that.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. MLB playoffs is in full effect. There are two people in this chat that both of their teams are in there. I am a Dodgers fan just because it's LA, but I'm not going to even attempt to be like, oh, yeah, I'm locked in. These two are locked in. Mets and Yankees. We saw, unless they came back. Mets lost, so they'll be going to game 3. Who y'all see for your teams, and then who do you have as your World Series winner? Who's your prediction right there?
Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I don't think that's okay. I'm sure Miles is going to say the Yankees, which is crazy. They just lost Rizzo, but a whole different discussion. Okay.
That's a good thing. He sucks.
Addition by subtraction, I guess. All right. Well, I got the Dodgers with Ohtani getting to play his first playoff baseball, getting his first opportunity to get out there. He's such a talented player. I get to display it on a big stage to all 20 people who watch baseball. Just kidding. But I think the Dodgers will go out there and get the job done. As far as my team, I think that was a question too. You asked about what my prediction for the Mets are. If they get through this, I think they're going to win tomorrow. I think the game's tomorrow, game 3. I think they're going to win tomorrow and get to go play Philly. And losing to Philly sucks. Don't get me wrong. But I do think it ends. I do think it ends there. And I think the future is very bright for that baseball team. That baseball team. I think with Acuna, Junior coming up, or Luis Angel. And then you got the ability to go get some pitchers out there and, shore up the bullpen and shore up your start, at least get a real ace and get Senga back. They can be a promise, and get Juan Soto, of course, because that's in the cards for us. We get Juan Soto. He gets to come over to play for the real New York baseball team here. Then I think that we'll be in business next year. But just credit, before we move on, just credit to Lindor, who I've questioned on this show since we've started. I've questioned Lindor, and he is made of all the right things. I don't know if this is an aberration this year or not, but this is a special year that he put on display for us. And that moment where he hit the home run was just, to see him in the dugout praying when they were up 6-3 and they're down, he comes up with 1 run. He hits what looks like a fly ball. It keeps on carrying. It was one of the greatest. It's the biggest Met hit since the Buckner hit, truly in franchise history. And that team, no matter what happens tomorrow, will be remembered and be linked forever. They'll be celebrated because no one expected this from this team. No one expected them to do anything. I told you guys they weren't going to win any games. I told you they're going to be terrible. And here we are in this moment now. So I do think they get it done tomorrow. I do believe so because that's just what this team is made of. They're resilient. I think they'll bounce back tomorrow. And they'll give the Phillies a hard time. But I do think they'll lose that series. So I think that's about as far as it goes because their bullpen just isn't good enough to get them to the promised land. Not yet, but the future's bright.
And on the flip side, the Yankees, we got a bye, so we're not playing right now.
Yeah, look at this again.
We're not playing just yet. We'll wait till Saturday. I think this team is good enough to win a World Series. They've had their ups and downs, but you have a duo like Soto and Judge, and then you have good pitching in Cole, and Rodon has had a resurgence this year. As long as they're able to get the guys 6 through 9 hitting and rolling on all cylinders, the postseason lineup is going to be interesting to see what Boone does. But I do think this team is good enough to move past the Royals. I think that should be, I don't want to say an easy series because it's the playoffs. Nothing's going to be just handed to you. And then whoever we face between the Tigers and the Guardians, I think we should be able to make the World Series this year. Finally, the Astros aren't out there. we could breathe a sigh of relief, guys. Like this is one of those things where we don't have to worry about those bad people in Houston. But I'm hoping that we get a Yankees Dodgers series because I think that's what most people want. You want the old school, the Brooklyn Dodgers versus the Yankees, that rivalry there. And it's the two top teams, the highest payroll in the league for both teams. I mean, it's going to be box office if it happens because it's not a guarantee. I mean, the Padres, they look pretty good. So I think the Padres could knock off the Dodgers off of this layoff. But we'll wait till that happens.
All right, we're going to end off the show with a little bit of games just because y'all love it and it's great content. Build your team around Anthony Davis or Tim Duncan.
Tim. Yeah, Tim. Yeah, I don't even. Do we have to? We don't have to. Tim Duncan. Come on, guys. It's Tim. It's Tim. I know it's boring as all hell, but it's Tim.
Build your team around C. Webb or Blake Griffin.
Damn, that's actually.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna go C. Webb. I think C. Webb was more skilled of a basketball player. I think I'll go C. Webb. Yeah, I feel comfortable doing that. Like I said, Blake he's an Amazon out there. He was just incredible. I mean, it was like watching Tarzan on the court. Truly, I mean, it was. If Tarzan could do it, it'd be Blake Griffin. Honestly.
I mean, if we're talking about Clippers Blake Griffin or
that's what we're talking about. You're talking about peak for peak.
Blake Griffin.
No, come on, peak for peak. You're right.
Yeah, peak for peak. I guess I'd go with C. Webb. I think, C. Webb, I think is the better player overall. So,
yeah, we got two more and we off for this episode. Again, hit the subscribe button, share, like, comment. Build your team around SGA or Penny Hardaway.
SGA. I know Penny was great and everything, but Penny was great for 5 minutes.
That was a hell of a 5 minutes, though.
It was. It was a great 5 minutes. Things can be great in 5-minute intervals.
Where you going with this? This ain't Shay Show, Uncle Shay Show. I might go Penny. If we're talking about the peak is those 5 minutes, and you could spread those 5 minutes over some time, like I'm taking Penny.
All right, last one. We end off the show. We talking about peaks. Peak Dwight Howard, or peak Joel Embiid.
I think I might go peak Howard.
Wow,
peak Howard. I just think that Dwight, in his prime, definitely one of the greatest defensive centers that we've had in the league, and one of the most athletic centers we've had in the league. I mean, he was able to carry that Orlando Magic team to the finals. I don't know many people on that team, maybe Jameer Nelson, Rashard Lewis, but Dwight Howard was a special talent before some stuff happened, but we don't need to get into that. We're talking about his peak. Like peak for peak, I mean, Embiid's cool, but I don't know. Even when he's healthy, he hasn't been able to get them over the hump. Dwight has. He's done it. So.
For me, looking at a peak for peak, I mean, I'm going to go. The question that's going to my mind is, between them both, whose game affects winning more? You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I go with it. And I think that Miles is on something with that pick. I really do. But Joel is generational. I'll go with Joel. Real. I'll take the nonsense. I'll take the overeating. I'll take the overweight. I'll take all that because I know what he is. He's got to stay healthy. If it's peak for peak, I'll take Joel.
Like you said, when you talk about Joel Embiid, he just got to stay healthy because when he is healthy, scary. You have a debate all day. Him, Jokic is picking hairs, whatever you want. both of them, if they healthy, if they in tip-top shape, really two generational talents right there. Y'all know the vibes, though. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.